I have to I have to remember that this is about the. It's all about the. It's all about. It's all about the. It's all about the vegan cross. I watch Cloud Atlas, the movie, all the time. All the time. Whenever I don't know what to do or what to watch, I watch the movie Cloud Atlas. Anyway, there's a quote in it. Halle Berry says something along the lines of, you have to do what you can't not do. And there's so many things like I feel like doing, I want to do, I hope to do, but the one thing I can't not do is the vegan cross. So in that respect, the bloodless sacrifice. But yet, in the Old Testament it says the grape is the, or wine is the, or the, yeah, wine is blood of the grape. We're not supposed to, drink the blood. We're supposed to pour it on the ground. For the dead homies. Not sure what the order is. And how that all relates to the Passover. But first, I think I'm going to talk about, well, no. The first thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to the vegan cross. And my mind has been going all day. So it's taken me a couple hours to like calm myself down. I'm going to try not to mention everything that's going on in my mind right now and just boil it down real simple. I've made some advancements for myself since my last post. More to do with Moses and Akhenaten. And after I made that post, I searched Bobby Hemmett Nefertiti Akhenaten's wife, and sure enough it came up right away. Akhenaten and Moses, one and the same. I should have known, but it gave me a lot of encouragement that independently, even though I followed Bobby Hemmett, like it's hard to keep up with him, you know, and yeah, for like since at least 2009. Anyway, I'm gonna start with what made me real angry when I read Luke not so long ago, and read, I believe, and I could be wrong because I have more to go, a lot more to go, that when Jesus ate a fish in Luke, after Jesus, you know, before he ascended, but after he exited the tomb, he was hungry. And in the King James Bible it says, Luke says, he was asking if anybody had anything to eat. And they were like, yeah, we got a broiled fish. So Jesus took it and he ate it. And that really pissed me off. Before I get more into that, even though I've mentioned it before, the whole deal with the Passover, or a large part of the deal with the Passover. And again, I'd like to refer you to my previous video. I think you should watch that one first, but if you don't have the stomach for it and you're really into this, you know, if you don't have the time and you're feeling on this one, then just stay with this one. But if you're real curious about the last one, check out the last one. But the whole deal with the Passover is, and Easter, so far as it concerns Jesus, is, you know, in Luke, Jesus is telling the disciples, I can't remember which one at the time, the fish reference that pisses me off is Luke 24:42. So like, I don't know, maybe a chapter-ish before that. And Jesus is telling the disciples to go ahead and prepare the sacrifice. Right? So far as the Passover sacrifice is concerned, it's like you got to sacrifice such and such grain and such wine and such killed lamb. In my first pass through, so I've gotten through all of Moses, from Exodus from Exodus through Deuteronomy. I've gotten through all of that the first time. But there are major, first of all, honestly, it's sickening to hear everything about, you know, the Levitical burnt offerings. It's just, you know, of slain lambs, firstborn lambs, firstborn goats, not firstborn donkeys. But when a donkey or a human has a baby, a firstborn baby, then you have to sacrifice another lamb. So all firstborn lambs are slaughtered, burnt, sacrificed, and for all firstborn humans or donkeys, a lamb has to be sacrificed in place of the human in the spirit of Passover. Now, why donkeys? I always wondered this. Well, I saw a video about it yesterday on the interweb. And apparently, donkeys are really great sheepdogs. Donkeys protect sheep. Because if donkeys are raised with sheep, donkeys have an inherent biological hatred of dogs. And they can kill a wolf, but not a bunch of wolves. They can kill hyenas, foxes. The donkeys have an inherent hatred of dogs. Dog species, wolf species, and so on. So one donkey against a bunch of wolves, donkey's gone. But a donkey versus a wolf, donkey's gonna get it. They're also smarter than horses. But you get a bunch of donkeys. Now you don't want to slay that firstborn donkey, because that's going to protect your sheep. So you can keep sacrificing them to God in place of humans and donkeys. But anyway, the whole deal with the Passover, you know, is that the lambs were slaughtered and the lamb's blood when the Israelites were in Egypt, the lamb's blood was spread on the post of the door or whatever above the door, and the spirit of death passed the firstborns by while destroying all the firstborns of Egypt. And people always say that Jesus didn't come to do away with the law, but to fulfill it. What law? From what God? But in Luke, Jesus tells them to prepare the Passover feast, because all through everything to do with Moses, it's like, kill that fucking lamb, burnt offering, spill the blood, kill the lamb, burn that motherfucking lamb, a sweet aroma unto the Lord, a sweet aroma unto the Lord. You have sinned, we're going to put your sins on the lamb. We're going to put the shit bad that you did on the lamb. We're going to protect you by killing the lamb. Now, to all the magicians and the Gnostics out there, sorcerers and people into that type of thing, there's an effect to that. And people are like, how naive. Most people who say that haven't ever slit the neck of something over and over and over again. And I guess I'd challenge you to go to an authentic biblical sacrifice. And then wait a few days, if you have to wait that long. And if you do have to wait that long and nothing, wait a year. It will come. And it won't be good. I didn't have to do that much. A few Tweety birds and squirrels with a BB gun when I was a kid was enough for that. And a young adult. The chipmunk though. So today I've been trying to cut back on my alcohol intake. This is my 6th Budweiser zero alcohol. Though I did have one Bud Light and a couple pulls of wine. Unleavened bread. The thing with the Passover, a couple things. Has to be a lamb, has to be a lamb, has to be a lamb. In Luke, when Jesus tells everybody to prepare the Passover sacrifice, right? I can't remember the exact wording, but they're preparing the lamb. They're doing the whole gig. But they don't mention when Jesus sits down and offers the Passover sacrifice. He does not partake in it. He says he will not partake in the Passover sacrifice until the kingdom of heaven is upon us. He won't. Not too far thereafter, he says about a man, well, in the King James Version, it sits down to meat, M-E-A-T. Though I think it's supposed to be recline or reclines at the table. Sits down for supper. But anyway, Jesus says, I don't sit down, I don't sit for meat. I don't recline at the table. I serve. So Jesus don't eat none of the Passover feast. But what does Jesus serve at the Passover feast? Don't mind that I'm using the word Jesus, please. The Messiah, the Ruach, the fucking inhabitant of the Melchizedekian priesthood, the Messiah, the messenger, the Holy Ghost, Hermes thrice great. The Son of God who had a mother. When Jesus served and did not eat the Passover sacrifice, doesn't mention it. No lamb. He's the lamb. This is the geniusness, and this is what the intelligentsia understood. This is why the scholars picked it up. Part of the reason is that he served the bread and the wine of the Passover feast, said it was his blood and his body. So in the Old Testament, when they're talking about the Passover, you sacrifice to God your wine, your grain, and the lamb. And Jesus was the Lamb of God. The lamb is a symbol of other things, also including Saint Agnes. Not most unimportantly, because she also represents Mary. But it's also important the way things come to us. It's not just interpreting the Bible, because it's an atemporal. God is atemporal. Jesus is atemporal. Like when Jesus ascended, everybody thinks he went to heaven. Here, heaven is a state of mind. Heaven is a place in so much as it is a position, but it's a position in so much as it is a stance. It's a stance in so much as it is a substance. beneath the surface, not substance the way we think of it. Matter is not substance. Matter is stance. Substance is the ground upon which matter stands. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. As the beginning pushes, the end pulls. Regroup, Jeff. Regroup. My understanding is, at least in one of the books, and I apologize for my lack of reference. I hope to get to it at some other time. But is that all right? What I wanted to say was that the way we think of things now, that because there's all these pictures of Jesus holding the lamb, or Jesus being born in the manger among all the animals and so on, right? And a lot of people think of that as hokey and naive. And first of all, there's a certain amount of truth to that. If you think it's hokey and naive, I get you. I understand. I grew up in that shit. I am a children's Bible. I've inherited the story of the children's Bible. That's my inheritance. But let me tell you, I'm going to make it right. If I could do anything, right? What's on your bucket list? I have one thing on my bucket list. One. It's the vegan cross. It's innocence. It's doing for the children's Bible interpretation of the Bible that runs across probably 50% of the multi-denominational Christian nation. I want to do for that what Jesus did for the Old Testament. Is that provocative and controversial? Yes. But it's also true. I don't want to aim low and miss. Or I don't want to aim low and get there. If I can't do this, I'd rather die. I mean, I'm going to die anyway. There's nothing else to do. When Jesus was born, and this is another interesting connection back with my previous video. When Jesus was born, right, it was in a manger. So we have the image of that, and that's another thing. I may get to it here, but I don't think so. I don't think I have enough time. I'll get to it at some other time. But Jesus laying with all the animals in the barn as an equal. As an equal to the other mammalian primates. Well, I guess. To the other, or not primates, vertebrates. I always confuse primates and vertebrates. And barns don't raise predatory vertebrates. Barns raise primarily vegetarian vertebrates. But anyway, my understanding from a little bit of research, and I have more to do, so I could be wrong, but my understanding is that he was really born in what could be called a barn, but it was a cave. Though cave can also mean the bottom story. If it's a two-story house, my understanding is in a lot of ancient Jewish homes, these stone houses, and these brick houses, like a cave, the bottom story was a barn, the top story was a house. No room at the end. But anyway, the type of barn for the type of farm, for the type of shepherds or husbandry, was that it was the specific type of barn that it was shepherds who raised sheeps for the purpose of sacrifice. It was a Levitical, under Aaron, the Levites, the priest class, who were responsible for overseeing the sacrifice of the lamb, the baby. And one of the things besides the Magi, I'm not going to touch on the Magi today, even though it's important to note that Jesus wasn't just the Messiah of the Jews, if you're into that type of thing. And if you're Jewish and you say no, I'm not holding it against you. If you're a vegan Jew, you're already more Christian than most Christians, by the way, just saying. I mean, most. Like, way more. But the shepherds saw him born in a manger, and a manger, my understanding is that the mangers were not only used to feed animals, but mangers were also what the baby lambs were washed in, and I think they may have been washed in salt water. I'll have to look that up again. I'm just barely getting into this, but shit's clicking. And before the lambs were sacrificed, they were washed in the manger. So Jesus was born in the manger, wrapped in linen, strips of linen. So there's a million different ways to interpret that, though that's a very interesting connection. Both, if we just look at it in the language and the symbolism of back then, toward the Alpha, and if we look at it in the symbolism of today, toward the Omega, the push, right? Here's the pull, here's the push. Because that ties to Moses. In Egypt, Moses was an Egyptian. Watch my last video. Do I have much to add since then? I do. I'll get to it in a minute, hopefully. Shit, I only got another 22 minutes. I might have to make a couple videos. I do. Jesus only served the bread and the wine. He did not serve the lamb. He told his disciples, who were totally locked into the lamb sacrifice. They were totally locked into the lamb sacrifice. They had to do it because they were so faithful to Moses and Aaron. Now, if you go back to the Bobby Hemmett, Moses Akhenaten, 18th dynasty Egypt. People always associate, who are into this type of thing, associate Moses with Ramses, Ramoses, and because of the ram. But it's the entire 18th dynasty. Amos. Thutmose. Interpreted these days as like born of thought. Mos, born. Moses of the water. Born, water, birthing a ship, birth canal, water, birth, naval law, all that shit. Amos, Thutmose, Ramoses, all that. So both Moses and Ramses were likely kind of larger than life words, you know, that already meant something before those names were applied. But anyway, Jesus being wrapped in linen the way mummies are, it's almost like he's being born as the reincarnation of Moses. There's a part, and right after Moses dies, Joshua comes up. Okay. Moses went to God and was like, God, I can't talk to these people. Before all the shit went down, he's like, I can't lead the Israelites. I can't give a speech. I can't tell them what to do. They ain't going to listen to me because I have uncircumcised lips. Now, first of all, he's uncircumcised because he weren't born a Jew in the whole Abrahamic deal. He has uncircumcised lips because uncircumcised, which you do to your dick, lips, vagina, the chalice on the blade, the androgen, the hermaphrodite. People say intersex these days. I think that's wrong. I described it before. Uncircumcised lips. He has big lips because he's African. I'm not trying to be, but everybody knows, right? If I were a different color, if I said it a different way, but he's got uncircumcised lips. Me, I got little itty bitty lips, especially when I sit here like this. I'm a white dude. I don't have those Nubian lips, you know, but he's got uncircumcised lips, an uncircumcised face. Now, there's a million ways to several hundred ways to parse that apart symbolically. But at face value, and in the moral of the story, so all those people talking about, like, I finally get it. It took me a long time to get into it, and I could feel the truth of the words. Like when I hear Bobby Hemmett speak, I could feel the truth of the words. You know, even though I might disagree with a detail here or there, but you know, like he talks about hating white people. You know, it's like, dude, like say you live in a completely black community, right? And you know, like, and the only white people you ever come in contact with are like white cops or whatever. It's like, I've had my shit fucked up by white cops. I've only known like personally a few people who weren't white. You know, some quite well. But like, So like everybody I love and everybody I hate is white. Like everybody I hate has been white or hated, or a lot of people I used to hate I've forgiven since then, but like everybody who I'm like I hate that motherfucker has been white. So it's like I get you. Well, anyway, I'm only saying that because like I'm just the next fucking I'm not trying to virtue signal. I just love Bobby Hemmett. If you don't love if you don't love something Bobby Hemmett says, you might not got any fucking blood in you. You might already be dead. That's it. That's all I'm saying. And to because some of the shit he says about white people, and I know he makes distinctions and all that, but at face value, it's like, there are people more closely related to Bobby Hemmett who would like maybe totally hate me because I'm the white dudes that they all hate. And it's like I don't even blame you if you do. I don't blame you if you do, man. There's plenty about me to hate, so don't hate me for just hate me for the shit that's worth hating. But and there's plenty, almost everything. But anyway, the farmers, the shepherds who were there were like, he's the fucking bag. Because they hated Egypt and they killed the fucking lamb. Fucking kids wrapped up like a mummy in the sacrificial manger. They're like, this is the guy. And it just goes back to the whole idea. People always say, why did Jesus die for my sins? So I could go to heaven. But they always miss the part where it's like, yeah, because in the past, what really pissed God off is all that fucking sacrifice. So God's like, fine, or at least so far as the story goes, but it's a perfect story. It's a perfect story. If it never happened, it's still God on earth. If it's just a story, it's God as the Word, a story, the oration, coming to the world. God doesn't sit for me. God is the me. Slay me, kill me. Stop doing all that other shit. Now, again, the innovation of the lamb sacrifice and of the ram sacrifice was because before that, the Greeks talked about it. There's more and more archaeological evidence of it around the world, not just there, in the greater Mediterranean, Arabian Peninsula, Western European, Eastern Asian area, Northern African. Plenty of evidence, but also all around the fucking world. For cannibalism, to this day, human sacrifice, to this day, rape, incest, to this day. Not even saying that, like, I'm talking about the bad shit. I believe love can bloom anywhere. I'm not against any of it. But we all know the bad from the good from the what's up with that? So anyway, once again, I'm going to get back into the Luke 24:42, noon. In the Greek, when it says a broiled fish, it's ichthos or isthos, transliterated as I see roughly THOS, something like that, fish. Broiled is OPTOU, transliterated roughly. I think I talked about it before, how noon, non or noon in Aramaic is fish or eel or snake. And in Hebrew, noon, well, first of all, noon or non is the name of Joshua's father. Joshua, son of Nun. So then you're in the beginning of the book of Joshua, which Joshua was inaugurated right after Moses. Moses died, or as Moses was dying, Joshua was being inaugurated. I almost said Joseph, and it's interesting too that they said that when Moses left Egypt, they took the bones of Joseph with them, even though earlier on of Joseph, maybe Jacob, but I believe Jacob and Joseph, or at least one of them, was it says right in the Bible, was embalmed, which would be mummification. So if people are looking, I don't know, if people are looking for the bones of Joseph, they should be looking for a mummy. There's an Egyptian tomb to those dudes, because they were fucking Egyptian in spirit. Jesus spoke Aramaic. If they were offering him noon or non, which is fish in Aramaic, but the whole Aramaic Hebrew connection, noon or non is the name of the father of Joshua. But what it meant in ancient Hebrew was propagate, propagation, propagate, increase, or propagation by shoots, which would mean agriculture. Put all that shit together, and it's agriculture in general. Jesus, when he gave the Passover feast that didn't include the lamb, because he was the lamb to be slaughtered, and he was, for all time, so that no more lambs or goats, because the lamb is the son of a sheep or a goat, as defined early on in Exodus. That's why Islam, I'm just going to say it, that's why he's the last prophet of the Old Testament. Yes. And that's why I forget who more or less the patron saint of the Shia 12ers is. I forget his name. I'll reference it later. That's why he's the first Islamic prophet of the New Testament. Because the Old and New Testament aren't temporal. Most so-called Christians today are still Old Testament. And many Jews of today, quote unquote Jews, are of the New Testament, whether they know it or not. It's the fact of the matter. Because the code built into the Bible, and that's why whatever happened, however it happened, oh, Jesus was this, Jesus was that, Jesus was this. Jesus could have been a derelict that told the perfect fucking story. He could have been born from a whore. He could have been, there's no way you can interpret it any which way. Is there such a thing as a virgin whore? Is there such a thing as a woman who never gave herself, but was only ever taken? Except for by one, Joseph. Whatever the case may be, this perfect story and answer was made. And not only that, it built in all the Canaanite, all the Greek, stopped everything in its tracks, stopped Rome, stopped Greece, as far as philosophy, thought. Everything came through it. Everything. The reason was because its message, a Trojan horse inside a Trojan horse inside a Trojan horse, was to kill butchery. Non or noon, put in the Bible as fish, broiled fish. But in Hebrew it was propagate by shoots, agriculture. Nun was the father of Joseph, or of Joshua. In the beginning of the book of Joshua, it talks about how when he and so-and-so, or whatever, go to visit the harlot, what were they doing there? There's some shit I'm gonna have to break down about Joshua. But Jericho, the folk from Jericho come and are like looking for him. So the harlot hides him on the roof with the barley. Now, first of all, dudes don't blend in with barley. Unless you take noon as propagation. The big thing about the barley is that in Exodus, when God sends the plague to wipe shit out for Pharaoh, he wipes out the wheat and the something else, but he saves the barley and the flax. So I'm sorry, she puts him on the roof with the flax. So he's the barley. Noon, barley, propagation. Ezekiel 4:9 bread, the sprouted bread of Ezekiel 4:9. You'll take wheat, you'll take wheat and beans and barley and millet and spelt and something else. Flax. And put it in a pot. And for 390 days, you'll eat a little bit of the beans and drink a little bit of the water. Beer. But the whole deal with the unleavened bread is that you didn't got time for that shit. So at the Passover, you eat the unleavened bread, which means porridge, soaked beans, unleavened. But it's not just some flat bread it could be a big bread. There are unleavened old school Egyptian breads that are wicked big because they still swell. Beans swell before they ferment. If you soak a bean, if you soak a seed, and it looks like a fish egg. So that, unfortunately, I've not gotten to a tenth of what I've gotten to, and I'm basically done the video because I have less than a minute left, but maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow. Fuck! I tried.